Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. For this week's Essential, we just showed Judy Garland's 1954 version of A Star is Born. Great story about the highs and lows that can come with stardom. It's a subject that's been the basis of many movies over the year, most of them with, if not a tragic finale, then at least a very poignant twist at the end. And for the rest of this evening, we're going to bring you some of the others. Our next story is also about a young girl making it to the top and finding a rough patch when she gets there. Our movie is Funny Girl from 1968, starring Barbra Streisand and Omar Sharif. Barbra giving an Oscar-winning performance in it. It was also her film debut. She plays a real-life and legendary comedian, Fanny Brice, who was a Ziegfeld star in the 20s, someone who went on to even wider fame in the 1940s as radio's lovable and sassy Baby Snooks. It was off stage, though, that life was really tough for Fanny Brice. She fell in love, deeply in love, with a big-time gambler who eventually spent time in jail, adding a particular poignancy whenever that funny girl, Fanny Brice, would get serious and sing what became her signature song, My Man, a song which also seemed to echo her life story. Well, 4 years before Barbra Streisand starred in this movie version about Fanny Brice, she also starred in a Broadway version, one in which she sang many of Fanny Brice's songs, but not My Man. Barbra wouldn't do that in the stage show. She didn't want to be compared to the memory and legend of Fanny Brice singing it. Barbra was only 22 at the time, and she took Broadway by storm in that show, soon parlaying her success into Grammy-winning albums and Emmy-winning TV specials. Her popularity was such that when it came time to make a movie version of Funny Girl, there was no question who would go on and play Fanny Brice on screen. And by this time, Barbra Streisand was willing to sing My Man, and she does so in the film unforgettably. Here, directed by the great William Wyler, with a cast that includes Walter Pidgeon as Florence Ziegfeld, Kay Medford as Fanny's mother, and Anne Francis as a beautiful showgirl. From 1968, here's Funny Girl. This was not the first time Hollywood told the story of Fanny Brice, but it was the first time there was an authorized version. Back in 1939, 20th Century Fox Studios released a movie with Alice Faye and Jerome Power called Rose of Washington Square. It had a storyline extremely close to the life of Fanny Brice. They didn't use Fanny's name, but they did get daring enough to include a scene in which the star of the film, Alice Faye, did sing Fanny Brice's signature song, My Man, while the gangster she loves is off in prison. Well, the real Fanny Brice was very much alive at that point, and she sued 20th Century Fox. The case was eventually settled out of court. It was after the real Fanny died in 1951, though, that her son-in-law, movie producer Ray Stark, put the wheels into motion to do an official biography of his famous mother-in-law, one which was sanctioned, and that became the 1964 Broadway musical Funny Girl, starring Barbra Streisand and Sidney Chaplin, Charlie Chaplin's son. It was 4 years later, in 1968, that this movie version was done. Up next, another backstage story. This one also based on a real Broadway celebrity, Gypsy Rose Lee, with a cast headed by Rosalind Russell, Natalie Wood, and Carl Malden.
Tonight on Turner Classic Movies, Rosalind Russell pushes Natalie Wood too far in Gypsy. Then James Cagney makes life uncomfortable for Doris Day in Love Me or Leave Me. And Ricardo Montalban lets Esther Williams step into the bullfighting ring in Fiesta. TCM stays up late tonight.
Hi, I'm Robert Osborne, inviting you to the 2011 TCM Classic Film Festival, April 28th to May 1st in Hollywood, California. Join us for the world premieres of brilliant restorations of films including An American in Paris and Citizen Kane. Buster Keaton's The Cameraman will be accompanied by a live orchestra. Passes are limited and special pricing will be in effect for those who act early, so go to tcm.com/festival to get yours today. And join us at the 2011 TCM Classic Film Festival, April 28th to May 1st in Hollywood.